Hey there, welcome to Pop Culture Cupid.
I'm Alison, love coach, here to help you single people find your way back to love.
And I'm Michal, I'm a single life coach. I help singles embrace themselves and their singleness, as well as develop a healthy self-relationship.
In this podcast, we will look at how pop culture impacts romance, dating, and your love life.
And each week we'll shoot another arrow through another pop culture delusion.
I thought we weren't going to do the whole cheesy thing.
And then burst into smithereens.
Oh my god, dude, that's so cringe!
Sorry, it's in the intro now.
If you make it through the chaos and you enjoy what you hear, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and go to all the social media.
At Pop Culture Cupid on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy!
Recording in progress.
Hello!
It's been a while.
It's been a while. The move has just become cleavage today.
Yay,
we're gonna have men like rushing to the videos of just, I'm sorry guys, I'm hiding it. Anyway.
Oh, audience is audience.
Audience is audience.
I mean, engagement is
yeah. Anyway, any way, shape, or form. I've been just looking at social media and things. I'm just like, how can we grab attention without exposing our bodies these days?
Yeah,
because
I'm not sure there is.
Well, I mean, I agree. I feel that social media, it had this. So you go, from you can only find sex on the internet and just naked women and things like that, which to each their own. And then there was like a 5-year rise of social media where I think that we're coming out of just these inspirational quotes and travel things and all sorts of things, and now we're coming back to, but it is just going to be a lot of naked women on the internet, and
a lot of people try to fight for your attention.
And be provocative. I've got, it's not just that. I have a bunch of social, I think it's because the stuff that I follow and the yoga and the self-development things and the relationship things and all of these things, like they have it's a gateway to just like exposing your body. And I mean, it's fine, but it's a shame that that's what we have to come to, because then you're not getting the views from the people that you want, you're just getting views. And social media anyway.
But it's a good segue to get people to join our community. If you're listening, watching,
okay, cleavage out,
come join us. Cleavage out. I unfortunately have nothing to show, so not sure how but we have been getting some good traction on YouTube, by the way. People are starting to watch us, which is nice. Instagram is just like a whole other mysterious story where it's like
that's all thanks to you. I have to recognize.
Hey, but we're up to 46 subscribers on YouTube, and we just need 4 more so we can go live on YouTube. I don't know for what for yet, but we can do some cool stuff once we can go live.
I was going to say, I've got several YouTube accounts, but I'm subscribed to the channel. We've probably got 40 organic, and we love you guys for that.
Yeah, fantastic. We do. We enjoy every person that joined us, and we just want more in the house so we can give you more.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna be opinionless. Well, no, I have opinions of what I'm about to tell you, and I'm really curious to see like your reaction to this. So right now my life is a bit chaotic. There's lots going on. Our listeners know, like, I've got a new job. I've moved. Like lots and lots of things have going on. And I'm just kind of like thinking about myself and just like, okay, so right now I've got my life with JT and my new job that I want. I desperately want this coaching and thing so just, I need to focus on what I feel is important for me right now.
Yeah.
And I have this friend that I've spoken about many a time, and I think you'll probably end up recognizing her, and our listeners. I was like, oh, this dramatic friend of Alison's.
Yeah.
I had her on the phone like this week, and I was just like, I can't deal with this drama anymore. I'm so fed up. So she calls me up and she says, so on I think Tuesday I message her and I say, oh, listen, I'm in the city tonight. I've got nothing to do. JT's busy. Do you want to do something? And she messages me, no, I'm not available. I'm like, okay, fine. And an hour later, she messages me saying, don't worry, nothing bad. You don't have anything to worry about. It's just some family stuff. It's not about you, it's my family. And I was like, well, I wasn't, I wasn't even thinking about that, but okay. And she said, I'll call you tomorrow and I'll tell you everything. I was like, okay. And so she calls me the next day and she blurts out, my sister's pregnant. I was just like, okay. And then we end up talking. And I realized that so my friend has been trying to get pregnant for a while and it's not working for her. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on. But she ends up talking about how her sister and the guy, and so the father, have been seeing each other for like a month and a half to 2 months. And so she's pregnant now. And so I think we talked about
her sister's pregnant with someone that she's been dating for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Fun times.
Yep.
Just making sure I understood that clearly.
Connecting everything. And I think we've spoken about, racism in France and like with Muslims.
Yeah.
And so this guy is Muslim. And her dad is this typical French middle-aged racist dude. I actually never met the man, but I think all things considered, he's an okay guy, and I think he's just racist because that's culturally what people have to be. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Although, not sure if this is politically correct to say, but with everything going on right now, I can understand why someone would be worried.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I don't think it's politically correct to say, but because nothing is politically correct to say.
No, it isn't, and someone's always going to get insulted. But you see the news and you see all the violence and everything, and I'm like, then any normal father would be concerned. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's if it's a racial problem. If this guy is a stand-up guy and it's a racial problem, then that's not okay.
And that's the case. I mean, from what I gather, the guy just doesn't like Muslims as a principle and is refusing to meet this guy.
Then that's not okay. We have the same kind of tension over here where obviously like we're Jewish, but there's also a huge Muslim community here and other religions. So anyone who make, like, today it's starting to change already, like, but there's a lot of prominent couples even that are mixed race, but like it's people just, especially between Jews and Arabs, they have an issue of like getting married and having and people are like, what's the big, like, why do people make such a big deal out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I do kind of, I'm getting flashbacks about one of our previous conversations.
It's a sensitive topic, but I think it's why it's so much more important to talk about it and raise awareness and to make it okay to talk about these things. Sorry, go on.
No, it's fine. That's the kind of what we're doing. I'm just talking about it and considering and so I'm just like, just thinking about the drama around it. So the father is refusing to talk to the sister because of it, and so the sister said that she had broken up with him, but actually got back together with him and got pregnant. All this over the span of 2 months of just dating someone, father cutting the daughter off, saying they broke up, getting back together, getting pregnant over like 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, but no more, because I can figure it out with the timeline. And she's telling me all of this and how invested, and I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I don't like, and added, this is the friend, if you can kind of piece it back together, whose boyfriend didn't buy her anything for Christmas and who's currently out of a job, not looking for a job, who said he was going to learn how to drive, not learning how to drive because they want to move, and so she's the one providing for the household. they've got a dog and 2 cats, and she's the one paying for everything. And she's complaining about not having any money. And I know, you know, in tough times you want to support your partner, but the guy isn't looking for a job, and and she's paying for like his, you know, online gaming. Not a lot, but still, it's just
it
like,
doesn't matter how much it is when you're paying for their online gaming. It's just the sound of it is ridiculous.
And I'm just like, so Tuesday morning, or I can't remember, sometime this week when I'm on the phone, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't. I was like, it felt like she was attracting drama to herself. And just kind of like, I wanted to say, like, can you not see the drama in your life? And I didn't. And because I was just like, you know, maybe it's just too harsh to just be like, oh, this is so annoying, I don't care about this shit. But basically I just cut the conversation short and was just like, okay, sorry, like I need to get back to work. Talk to you soon.
I think, well, I sort of like a question / distinction to make here, because I think is she constantly calling you just to complain and just to vent her drama, or is that just part of the time? Like, is she creating drama all the time when you're...
So she's creating drama all the time. Like, she is the type of person who thrives off of drama.
And you're not.
I'm not, definitely not. But to say that she only calls me to talk about her own drama is probably a bit of an exaggeration, in all fairness. She's the type of person that, so a few years ago when I had my abortion, I didn't tell her about it because I knew that she was trying to get pregnant and everything, and wasn't, and you know, it still is today. But at some point, like, I needed her to know what was going on, and so I told her after the fact, and she was just like, you should have told me, I would have been there for you, I would have supported
Making
you.
it about herself, basically.
Exactly. And it's a lot of that. And so, you know, on the phone this week, JT and I had a bit of an argument over his ex that I kind of briefly told you about on the voice note. And she was just, and she said, so how things with JT? And I said, oh, we had a bit of an argument, but we're fine. And she was just like, oh, he needs to get his act together. And I was just like, excuse me?
Trying to spread the drama where there is none. No, the reason I ask is because I think there's certain people that attract drama in their own life, but they won't bring it into your life as well. And they'll also be attentive to you. They won't only constantly call you up to vent and create which is fine. I mean, you're supposed to be there for friends, to let them talk and to discuss things that are going on in their life. But when a friend is constantly calling you and just bringing more and more drama, when you have so much going on in your life, and she didn't even take a moment to acknowledge you or to ask you how things are going for you, then it's a bit kind of if this is just like constantly just drama, it's exhausting. Like, sometimes my friend tells me about her drama and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just exhausted from listening to you. But let's say my best friend is also, I don't want to say, it's just, how do I explain her? It's just every time she calls me, I know that she has some other crazy story to tell me of a million different things that are happening. And it's just, and on the one hand, you would think, how could we possibly get along? Because I am the total opposite. But we just do. And I find her entertaining, I find her drama entertaining, first of all, because it's not in my life. And she doesn't let it like spread into me, and she doesn't bring it into any advice she gives me. But she's also very interesting. She's also very interested in me, and she shows care and love and support. And so it sort of becomes more insignificant. it's funny, she one time told me, I was just like talking about like life or whatever, and she's like, one time she told me that she was jealous of my life because it was so calm and quiet. And I was like, hun, you just be very bored in my life, which is true. These people just get very bored when they don't have drama going on for them. And I think it's very important to see with these people in our life, if it's something that impacts us and it stresses us out, because I'm also very much a person who's just like, I get stressed out when people around me are stressed because I feel the vibrations and the negative vibes. And so I'd rather not be around those kind of people. Or if it's someone who's just, you know, going through a rough time, they just need our support, and they're usually not like this. It's
I agree. You know, there is differences, like, is this a habit or is this kind of out of the blue? And I you know, you said something about enjoying the drama because it's in her life, and I love, you know, Desperate Housewives, Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, all these very dramatic shows I enjoy because I enjoy the drama when it's not in my life. But like when it's my friends, it's just like it's getting a bit close type of thing. But it can still be okay. But what I kind of, if a friend tells me about her drama and doesn't mind that I don't give a shit, then fine, you can tell me about your drama. I mean, I think also coaches is type of a thing that, you know, we kind of, you know, it kind of, you know, falls off our back. But if you want me to be invested, then you're going to be disappointed, because imagine getting invested in someone else's drama, and like you've got your own shit going on. And I was just like, and I was telling JT about it, and like she had really kind of that day kind of not pissed me off, but just exasperated me of I was just like, I can't even say you need to get over it, because, you know, this is dramatic stuff. Like, it's not she cheated on blah blah blah. Like, this is, you know, her father isn't talking to her sister, and now her sister's pregnant by some guy that she barely knows. And, you know, and I told her, and she, you know, and I said, like, oh my god, did they have, like, what type of conversations have they had? And she goes, but that she loves him, you know, there's no time. Imagine if you had gotten pregnant by JT after a couple of months, like, you were really so in love with him already. And I was just like, I'm not going to talk about the eventuality that I got pregnant by JT after a couple of months, because it didn't happen, because we were very careful, because even though I was in love with him quite early, it was still, you know, you still need to get to know each other. And with Muslims, I have yet to have met a Muslim man who doesn't want his wife to be Muslim, and who doesn't want to raise his children Muslim. And that's not and that's not, you know, criticizing, you know, if you it's have
stating a fact.
Exactly. And I kind of
plus also, by Muslim religion, and the child is Muslim because it goes by the father.
Fair enough. Whereas Jewish is Judaism is by the mother. And I was just like, and also it's, you know, I knew this woman who was Muslim and who was like married to this kind of like non-religious guy, and she wanted to, and they had a conversation, and so she's raising their kids with the Muslim beliefs, and everybody like in our friendship group, like social circle, was just like, oh, that's so scandalous. But I was like, it's her beliefs, like, it's her, you know. I
as
can't,
long as you're not forcing it on someone else, then it's do your own thing. It's your child, it's your life, you do whatever you want.
If you fundamentally believe that you're right, then you're gonna, it's not good or right, it's just, you know, I don't eat meat, and I don't believe that you need meat to survive, and some people, but I understand why some people do eat meat. But, you know, when I have kids, I've already looked into it, and it's just, you know, I'm going to make sure that they get their protein from something else than meat, and that's just going to be, and if it happens that my kids are unhealthy because of it, then they will eat meat. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, if you have beliefs, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna pass those on to your kids. And so anyway, all this to say, I haven't met a Muslim man who kind of got into a relationship with a non-Muslim woman who was happy for his wife to not be Muslim and for their kids to not be raised in the Muslim belief, which is, you know, to each their own. And I agree, as long as it's, you know, consented and done in a, you know, in a healthy way, it's fine. And so I asked my friend this, like, have they had a conversation about, you know, raising kids Muslim, because they're not Christian, you know, in the sense that they go to church every day, but they do have Christian beliefs, and, you know, their family members are buried in their Christian cemetery, and they went to the church, and they'll get married in a church, and I was just like, you know, which is fine, to each their own again, but this is these fundamental things that a Muslim person and a Christian and a non-Muslim person need to kind of talk about, and they haven't. And then she started getting so angry with me, of just like, you're just like all the other racist white people in France. I'm just like, I'm not.
Then why are you asking for my opinion if you don't want to hear it?
Yeah, so the problem is, you know, we've talked about her before. She asks for my opinion, and then I tell her my opinion and kind of give her advice, and then she just does a completely 180 on me and just completely disagrees.
And it's not as if you said something wrong. I think every single couple, no matter what it is, should have a conversation. We were exactly talking about this yesterday with Ev and his sister and his cousin, where we were just talking about how, like, in relationships, there's certain things that you need to talk about early on. Like, I think we also discussed this, especially when it comes to religion and children and how you're going to raise your family. I mean, what are you waiting for it to be too late, and then things are just going to get fucked up and screwed up, and people are just going to get even more hurt, and you have a child in the picture? So, I mean, she should say thank you that she has a person. Well, I mean, it's her sister's issue, but that she has someone in her life who's not giving her the idiot compassion, who's reflecting back to her very important issues that should be discussed. And, you know, I feel like a lot of times when people don't like the truth, what they do is they get defensive and they get insulted. They get insulted and they start insulting you, or they just try to attack you. That's what happens when someone knows you're right, knows they should listen to you, but they're just not in the mind space where they can hear it, where they're so adamant in their ways. But getting upset at you for trying to help her is ridiculous. And I think it even more so, it just ties this whole situation in a frustrating way, because she's constantly bringing drama into your life, and then when you try and say something back to her, then she gets all snappy, and you have to withhold your own shit and your own stuff and your own things that you want to say, because you don't want to upset her, or you don't want to bring it in, you know, or maybe you also feel like you can't talk to her because she's constantly in her thing. So when someone is constantly telling you that they're so overwhelmed with drama, you sort of instinctively don't even want to share with them, because you know that they probably can't handle anyway. Why would you want to give your sensitive information to someone who's not capable of dealing with it right now?
Yeah, for sure. And also at that point, I was kind of feeding into the drama. Like, she's never really happy when I don't feed into the drama, but here I was feeding into it. I was just like, oh my God, like, this poor woman, not poor woman, she says she's in love, which is, you know, great for her, but she's pregnant with a guy who doesn't share the same belief system as her, and they're gonna disagree on a lot of things. Have they had a conversation about it? Anyway, and the way the whole thing, that how it became this, you know, that for me, I would have cut off at, my dad isn't speaking to her because she's dating a Muslim guy. Like, I was just like, that is the stupidest thing in the whole world. I'm curious, like, if we have any Muslim listeners, or like people who have strong religious beliefs, like, what are your thoughts on all of these things? Because you and I don't have very strong religious beliefs. Like, we have some spirituality beliefs, but we don't like belong to a religion. And so I think I think it's a bit difficult for us to have like a clear-cut opinion. And also neither of us are in relationships with men who have strong Is Zev Jewish? And
no, not Zev. Another. I'll tell you in a minute. You can
okay. Anyway, so I was just like, I have some spiritual beliefs that I will kind of want my children to understand. JT isn't kind of fussed, so I'm not in this situation where it's a bit of a fight, but it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, anything to do with religion is very sensitive and very difficult to
personal.
Like, I know. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a religious home. I'm not religious anymore, but I feel like, well, with the ultra religious people, the ultra religious Jewish people would not accept that their child marrying someone who's non-Jewish, let alone becoming secular. A lot of, and this is something I completely disagree with, but like a lot of ultra religious people literally mourn their children who are no longer religious or go off and marry other people. And that to me is completely absurd. I mean, most people don't do it, but like there's certain ultra religious people
Orthodox.
Yeah. And I look, on the one hand, I can understand because you have a child and you have your beliefs and you want your child to follow what you believe in, and you want it's a huge part of your life, and your child is a huge part of your life, so you want it's a difficult situation. And I once dated, I was in a relationship with someone who wasn't Jewish, and it was a huge deal for my family. My family isn't even super religious, at least not my close family. So it's just it brings up a lot of tension of, also I think it's very new to the world. I think it's something very new, especially here. And it's just a very sensitive, it's a very sensitive issue because it impacts the family dynamics, and it's, let's say a chat, like if you take a Christian and Muslim couple and they haven't had this conversation, and the father does want it to be solely Muslim, but the mother's family wants to celebrate Christmas, they want to celebrate Easter or whatever other religion, whatever other holiday, but the father's not willing. So that causes a lot of issues. Or even with just us over here, like even with just couples that are, one's religious and one isn't, that can also cause a lot of tension of between, keep observing the Sabbath or the different holidays or whatever it is. And it creates a lot of tension, especially when you don't talk about it, and so it just builds.
Exactly. I have a couple, like like two friends that are in a relationship with each other, and she's Protestant, quite like, not extremely like over like religious of like, to the maximum, but she's, she goes to mass and goes to church and has her Bible study group, like, she's quite involved, and he's atheist. So this isn't our guys who kind of just like, don't really think about it. He's thought about it. He grew up in a Catholic household and he's now atheist. And they've been together, I think, we were talking about it the other day, I think they've been together for 4 years, like coming on to 4 years or something. And it's like, not every day, but it is a conversation they have like very regularly about, it is one of the very sore points in their relationship. And the reason why they work is because neither of them want kids. And so it kind of takes the pressure off because all they want is to share their life together. All they want, but they're not conflicted about, about giving those beliefs to somebody else, and and raising a family and things like that. Like, they just want to be in a relationship, which works for them. It has been working for them up till now, but I know that it's a constant conversation, because she's not taking it lightly. Like, she knows, she believes in God, she has this clear vision of what life and the afterlife are, which is in direct opposition to what he believes, and that, and it's just this whole thing. And they have all, and they it's an everyday conversation. It's something that at the beginning of their relationship, like, was a big conversation, because they just needed to be clear on what was, okay to talk about, not so okay, things like that. So here I'm like, they barely know each other. He's religious, she's not so religious, but if she had to choose, it would be a completely different one. And they're raising a kid, and that, well, not she's pregnant, so not raising a kid, but they're considering raising a kid together without having had this very complicated conversation.
It is a complicated conversation, and a lot of times we avoid it because we don't want to deal with it, but it's such a crucial conversation to have. I mean, you're talking about now your friend who has an atheist partner, and they don't want kids, which is fine, but even without kids, this is something that you constantly have to talk about, because it impacts a lot of your lifestyle, of how you live in your house. Like, again, in Judaism, we have like this whole the kosher aspect. So like, we don't mix dairy and meat. So if a couple's living together and one is completely secular and the other is really religious, then that means like the person who's secular has to be considerate to not mix up the dishes, not eat meat and milk, or I don't know, shrimps in the house, or bacon, or whatever it is, or to even on the Sabbath, not to turn on lights, not to use electricity, not to watch TV. There's a lot of, like, for every religion it's different. They have different examples. And so it does impact your lifestyle. So as long as you keep having these conversations and you're able to create a system that works for you, then it's then great. But if you're not talking about it and you're just tippy-toeing around the topic, then it's going to end up exploding. And I think I have a cousin who she's religious, comes from a religious family, and she married someone who is secular. And I'm not sure how much they spoke about the topic or about the issue, but they ended up getting a divorce because they just couldn't find the way to make it work. Like, just an example, like he wouldn't go to her family's home for Friday night supper, for the Shabbos meal, as we call it, because he just felt super uncomfortable in that environment. He felt like maybe he was being like manipulated into trying to observe, and it's such a stressful way to have a relationship, because this is her life. She just wants her husband to come eat with her family without making such a big deal out of it. Or maybe she does want a husband who's observing the way that she is. And because, for a lot of people, they love the religion and they want to share it with someone. So again, these conversations are important to understand how much it impacts the relationship and your life and everything, and your life together and everything.
I mean, it is what we say every single episode. I feel it's like communication and and love. And I'm sorry, love does not conquer all. It conquers a lot.
It doesn't.
I feel that love conquers trauma. It conquers like cheating. It conquers
distance.
distance, it conquers illness, conquers illness, you know, as in people, like, it gives you the strength to fight and things like that. Like, it will conquer a lot, but you know, something that's deeper than love is your belief system and your values. And what I tell people is just like, you need to make sure that you know what your values are and check in with them regularly, because that's the only way that you'll kind of have a relationship that works. And they need to be, you know, the values that are, you know, these really like deep rooted values, not superficial, like they need to be good looking, they need to, like, but what are your, you know, what do you believe, you know? And it takes a long time. And like, you know, my values, like, I believe that you need proximity and hard work. Like, you know, things don't just happen, like, you know, that you know, things don't come easily. I believe, you know, my core belief is just, you know, you need to work at something that you need to want. Like, I don't believe that things need to be difficult for them to be worth obtaining. Like, that's a whole different thing. But I need, you know, I work hard, and I don't feel good when I'm not working hard. And you know, that's the whole thing. And my spirituality, like, I mean, you know, those are these core beliefs. And if JT turns out to be somebody that doesn't work hard, my love for him is not going to conquer that. And that's already happened once. My first relationship, and it was not even ambition, but like, we fundamentally disagreed on how to make our careers develop, and like moving away from our families and things like that. Like, he needed to be next door to his mother type of thing, and have like this chill life with just like the minimum of everything, which is fine for some people, but it wasn't okay for me. And he didn't work hard at all. He just did the bare minimum, which worked for him. But it came to a point where, even though I loved him, I left him because I wasn't happy with him. And I'm glad that I left him. And, you know, loads of things came to light. But love would not conquer what it was fundamentally opposed to my belief system. And can't, you know, and when you're religious, I guess it's so much easier to know your belief system because, you know, it's written down, you know, your beliefs. And I believe that this, you know, my friend's sister is in love with this man. I believe that she is. But and I, you know, and I want to believe that I you know, haven't met them, but that he's also in love with her.
How old are they?
Our age-ish, you know, early 30s, late 20s.
Oh, so older. Okay. Like older than...
Yeah, they're not 20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
older than 20.
And they should have this maturity, especially as she had this long-term relationship that ended, and then has had another like mid-term relationship since then. Like, you'd think that after two, not failed relationships, but two kind of long relationships that have ended, you'd kind of know what to do and what not to do. But hey.
Yeah, I think on the one hand, I can understand her, because, well, I was 20, but I was in that situation, and everyone tried to convince me in every which way, and I couldn't hear it, because I was over the moon in love with this human being, and I wanted to be with him no matter what. And I was also very dramatic back then, so I was like enjoying the Romeo and Juliet kind of narrative, and it was just such a complicated situation. It was such a complicated situation, but I had to come to my decision by myself in the end. We didn't have a child involved, which only complicates things, but it's, I mean, in every situation, people try to convince you. You're not going to hear it until you decide for yourself that you want to hear it, or that you need something else, or that what you're doing is wrong. So it's, especially when you enjoy the drama, it's very hard to listen to other people trying to tell you that the person you're super in love with might not be right for you, and that it's impacting other people in your life. And I mean, both my parents come from very religious families. So for them, it was such a, it was such a shock to the system of like, what the hell even is this? And it was very difficult to digest, especially since family is very important to me. And so you have this tension between wanting to please your family and wanting them to be happy for you, to wanting to be happy for yourself, and wanting to be with the person you want to be with. And I didn't want to wake up one day and regret my decision of breaking up with him because my family made me. Because if it came from me, then I can't regret that.
No, yeah.
And so, I mean, it was, the whole thing was just, my God.
Are your sisters like religious?
No, none of us are religious anymore. We're all fairly traditional. Like, we enjoy celebrating the holidays and the Sabbath and whatever, but we don't actually observe any of the
deeper rooted, like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there are, you know, I'm now realizing that I haven't seen this priest or nun on YouTube for a while, but like, there are kind of these religious figures that kind of defog the Bible and talk about, you know, certain scriptures and Hinduism and things like that, where they say, yeah, I think the Quran may also say it, of just like, some part of this religious scripture also says, but you need to adapt with your society. Like, this is meant, you know, we are saying this in a time where this works for our society. It may change, it may not change. And like, there are some kind of hints. So in Hinduism, it is very clear where it says, like, you need to adapt with your society. Like, you know, it's very clear. It's a very, and there aren't many scriptures in Hinduism, and it's not even a religion officially. It's a like a philosophy. Hinduism isn't seen as a religion. It's seen as a philosophy by its observers. But they do say, like, you need to evolve with your society, and like, of just making sure that this isn't putting yourself in danger and putting others in danger and things like that. And it's so complicated because it's such an old, you know, beliefs that, you know, it's difficult to make them mutate. And
but it all, I don't want to say nullifies, but it's a whole different story when it comes to relationships and being in a relationship with someone who's from a different religion. Because I know that in Judaism, a lot of families will not take it lightly if a child marries, unless they're completely secular. They won't be open to it. Probably most religious Muslims wouldn't. I mean, any ultra religious family probably won't, but a lot of religions just don't take lightly to it. And I think it's changing now, but a bit with time. But it's
I mean, it's definitely changing.
Complicated.
It's definitely changing because, you know, your parents came from a religious family, and now you and your sisters are not so religious, and you still have amazing relationships with your family. You know, some families it wouldn't work, but some families it does work. And so it is changing. Like, you know, I come from religious family on my dad's side. They're not so religious. Actually, I think my grandfather used to be atheist. I think my grandmother was kind of just like, didn't really think about it, but I think my grandfather was atheist and my dad is atheist. But my mum, like, I'm baptized and I've got communion, and, you know, and I've just kind of steered away from, like, if I were to, I don't know what religion I would choose if I were to choose one. Like, I don't feel I'm well versed enough in all of these subjects, but I come from a Catholic background, and it's just not part of my life. So it is changing. Like, you know, in my aunt and uncle's house, like, there's the cross in certain places, and they go to a mass
Yeah.
sometimes, and and like they don't outwardly push their Catholicism, but they talk about God sometimes, type of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so things are changing, but it is going to be slow. Maybe in the next couple of generations,
yeah, I think
it's going to be completely different.
Yeah, I think religion is slowly becoming obsolete in certain areas and certain cultures and certain generations. It's just becoming slowly. I mean, I think as also a lot of times, I think, like I could take myself for example, like my parents, the religion was sort of shoved down their throat. So they never learned to love it properly.
Yeah.
And so they had no idea how to pass it on to us. And so it was inevitable for us not to stay religious, because I saw no reason not to turn on lights on Shabbat. I didn't see a reason to observe something just because I'm told to do it. I need, and then you see these religious people who absolutely love the religion because they grew up learning it and reading it and studying it and really understanding its core. And so, for every person, it's very different. And it really depends on how you were served the religion, if that's the right term for it, but like how you were exposed to it and what your experiences with it. And so I think with maybe some people just getting lazier with trying to, or just it's getting harder to try and convey it to their children, especially now when the West is becoming so mixed race. Then it's much harder to control with quote marks, but
I think that's a good kind of ending point of I mean, curious to hear about whatever, if people who are religious have opinions, and what part of your beliefs kind of will push you towards or further away from people who don't have the same beliefs, and how do you interpret your religion, and are you in somebody who doesn't share the same faith?
How do you make it
like
work?
How do you make it work?
Okay.
And and catch you in the next one.
Yes. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye.